Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. Look, today we're going to be giving you video that's associated with a case that actually happened on Saturday. But as a result of that case, we've actually reached a pretty grim milestone here in Bexar County that we wanted to share some numbers with you as well. Certainly not to set off any sense of panic, but certainly to let you know it is something that we're watching, and to again use this as a reminder to people that we need to avoid situations as they pertain to family violence, and I'll be more clear as to what I mean by that. But Johnny, let's go ahead and start with the video. So this video that you see here is video that, of course, we'll be sharing with all your desks. Some of y'all covered this story over the weekend. But this lady that you see here is Rachel Zamarripa. She's 21 years of age. She is currently incarcerated here at the Bexar County Jail for murder, a case of murder. What we know at this point is that on Saturday, Rachel called 911 and told the she told the call taker and, of course, the responding deputies that she had stabbed her mom. Her mom in this case is Linda Zamarripa, 58 years of age. She was the victim that we found. Grisly murder scene, of course, where this victim was apparently stabbed well over a couple dozen times. The knife was still lodged in her chest when the primary first responders made it into the scene. So certainly a very grim case. Now, this young lady, the story that she gives us is that she was one of the sole providers for her mom, and that they had very little financial means, and she had gotten overwhelmed with being the caregiver and then not having the means. Now, obviously, nothing can excuse the horrible crime that she committed, and so she's absolutely in the process of being held accountable for that. But with this murder that happened on Saturday, I can tell you definitively, and we'll share these numbers with you as well, we have now, for 2024, already overcome the total for all of 2023 and years prior to that. So this year, this brings us up to 15 murders for 2024. All of 2023, we had 14. All of 22, we had 14. All of 2021, we had 12. And then, of course, for all of 2020, we had 17. But we have already surpassed all of last year's numbers. And obviously, we're still dealing with a whole lot of violent crime occurring. And so we're using this as an opportunity to remind people that, we need to avoid violent encounters at all costs. With regard to those 15 murders that we're dealing with for this year alone, more than half are family violence related, to include this one with the suspect that we just showed you the perp walk of. So out of 15, we're dealing with 8 family violence related homicides. As you know, we've handled several over the course of the past several months. Notably, we had an incident where a mom of a young boy took him into a city park and murdered him there. Caden Kiger was the little boy's name. But we've just got case after case after case that we're continuing to deal with. So we want to use this as the opportunity to remind the public that if you are a victim of domestic violence and you're not worried because, well, it hasn't gotten to that point, domestic violence without fail doesn't really get any better. In fact, the opposite. It continues to escalate to the point where you could end up being one of these fatalities. Now, we use this as the opportunity to remind people that if you are experiencing domestic violence, dating domestic violence, teen dating domestic violence, any sort of domestic violence at all, get yourself out of that situation as soon as you possibly can. The situation is not going to get any better, and if in fact it continues to go unchecked, again, it'll continue to escalate until somebody ends up dead. And so we're asking people to please be mindful of the fact that you can always call law enforcement. Obviously, if it's a life and death situation, emergency situation, 911 is always the preferred method. Don't call the non-emergency number, call 911. If it is something that the danger has passed, but you still want to report it to law enforcement, you can certainly call us at 210-335-6000. You can also call the San Antonio Police Department. I'll take the liberty of giving their non-emergency number, 210-207-7273. So once again, ours is 335-6000. SAPD's is 207-7273. Let me also give you some national numbers. This is in a situation where maybe you don't feel comfortable involving law enforcement for whatever reason, but you feel like it's heading that way and you want to create You want to reach out to people that can help you get yourself out of the situation. We have a national domestic violence hotline, 1-800-799-7233. And obviously our local number to that is 210-930-3669. Now, those are numbers that you can call to help create a safety plan. I'm concerned for myself. I'm not in any immediate danger, but I want help. What do I need to do? What do I need to start preparing for? Because I want to get out of this situation. I want to leave this person ASAP. And these folks that are at these hotlines will tell you what resources are available. They can house you. They can house your children. They can even take in your pets. The kids can continue to go to school. They can help you with job placement. It's a total wraparound service. Talking about here locally, Family Violence Prevention Services and the Battered Women and Children's Shelter. It's total wraparound services. All you need to do is get yourself and those that you care for, whether it be your children and or pets, get yourselves out of that situation. We'll figure out the rest with the help of the professionals at the shelters. But please, take advantage of those numbers and get yourself out of that situation. Esta tarde nosotros estamos dando más información tocante un homicidio que ocurrió el sábado. Rachel Samarripa, 21 años de edad, esta es la sospechosa. Ella nos llamó esa tarde que había apuñalado a su mamá. Ya cuando nosotros llegamos nos encontramos con el cuerpo de Linda Samarripa, 58 años de edad, sufriendo de varias heridas graves. Ella en ese momento ya los médicos la encontraron muerta con el cuchillo todavía en el cuerpo de ella. Linda fue arrestada y a nosotros nos dijo en las entrevistas después del delito, ella nos dijo que se sentía muy como que mucho estaba pasando en su vida y ya no podía con todo el estrés que ella tuvo en su vida. Entonces, en lo que ahí dice ella, no le quedó más que matar a la mamá. Obviamente para nosotros eso es un delito mayor y ella ahorita está en la cárcel a causa de ese homicidio que ocurrió. Nosotros con este homicidio ya podemos decir que vamos en 15 homicidios por el 2024. Ese número ya hemos pasado todo el año del 2023 totalmente. Entonces ya se sabe que tenemos todavía varios meses que tenemos que seguir trabajando. Entonces para nosotros ya va a ser, ya es obvio, obviamente va a ser un año más alto de homicidios, desafortunadamente, aunque no quisiéramos. Sabemos que nosotros pensamos ahorita que vamos a pasar años anteriores que eso por mucho, por un gran número. Entonces, de esos 15 homicidios que nosotros tenemos, 8 son de violencia doméstica. Entonces, queremos recordarle al público que, por favor, si están en una situación de violencia doméstica, ya sabemos que este problema de violencia doméstica no es algo que se quita. Es algo que va escalando hasta el punto que la víctima sufre heridas graves o la matan. Entonces nosotros usamos esta oportunidad de recordarles al público que si están sufriendo con violencia doméstica, que por favor se salgan de esa situación. Les pueden llamar a los servicios de víctimas 800-799-7233, es el número nacional. El número local es 210-930-3669. También nos pueden llamar a nosotros, a las autoridades. Si es una emergencia, obviamente tiene que llamar al 911 inmediatamente, no se espere. Si es alguna situación donde no hay peligro inmediatamente, nos pueden llamar al número de no emergencia, es 210-335-6000. El número de no emergencia del Departamento de Policía de San Antonio es 210-207-7273. Pero eso ya se toca si no hay peligro inmediatamente. Obviamente, si hay peligro, por favor, llámenos inmediatamente al 911. Any questions?
Yes, sure. So Winona Valley recently confirmed that a call that they had responded to last week was a father-son incident. And typically when we hear about domestic violence, it tends to be partner-on-partner crime. Their incident was a son who attacked his father, and then with this, of course, a daughter attacked her mother. Are you
Sure.
seeing an uptick in that, or does that remain pretty rare?
Well, in this instance, I wouldn't be able to give you round numbers, but in this instance, we've seen several of these 8 that it was, the female perpetrator. I don't know that that means anything or that it's indicative of anything, but we've seen instances where it's female perpetrator. We've seen where it's parent on child. We've seen where it's child on parent, partner on partner. Either way, I don't have direct numbers in front of me, but we've seen it in a variety of ways. It's all, as you know, it's all family violence. But again, we just use this as the opportunity that whether it's dating violence or married people or sibling on sibling even, get yourself out of the situation. The constant in domestic violence is it really doesn't matter the relationship of the two, is just know that when it comes to domestic violence, it's not going to stop happening. It's going to keep happening, probably with more frequency, certainly with more intensity. The attacks will become more violent as time goes, and unfortunately, in too many times, we see it end up as a statistic like these, where we're talking about murder numbers.
As far as finances, you mentioned that played a role in this, and, obviously a lot of people are struggling right now with
Sure.
inflation. Do you think that has anything to do with the numbers going up?
There's so many factors that could go into it. Depending upon what school of thought you talk about, is money, the money situation. Money's always a constant stressor for everybody. Certainly nothing is worth taking the life of another, especially your defenseless mom, like in this case. It could be attributed to the hot weather. There's certainly several things that there's schools of thought that say that. I can tell you as a 32-year cop, yeah, the heat does certainly come into play. There's a lot of factors that can go toward it. Right now, we're not really pausing too much to try to figure out the cause. This is why we're using this opportunity to just warn everybody that if you're in this situation, you need to get yourself out immediately.
¿Por qué tipo de problemas específicamente estaba pasando Rachel que llegó a tomar esta decisión?
Bueno, la mamá se aparenta que estaba enferma, tenía muchas enfermedades graves y su hija fue la que la estaba cuidando. Por lo que nos dice ella, que ella estaba muy cansada, se desesperó en este momento de lo que estaba pasando con su mamá, y para ella la única solución fue quitarle la vida a la mamá. Entonces, para nosotros hay organizaciones que sí les ayudan a la gente. Si alguien llega a ese punto donde piensan que no hay más que matar a alguien, por favor, llámenos antes de que pase una tragedia. Nosotros preferíamos que Rachel nos había llamado antes de hacer esto. Le podíamos ayudar con su crisis mental. Obviamente estaba pasando por una crisis mental. Nosotros le podíamos ver ayudado a ella, pero también encontrar organizaciones que le pudieran ayudar a la mamá y también al padre de ella, que también vive en la casa, antes de que pase una tragedia, pero nos tienen que llamar antes de que pase algo.
Sheriff, of course we always say, if you see something, say something.
Sure.
In this particular case, we went out to the neighborhood. Neighbors were shocked.
Yeah.
Said it's a very quiet, peaceful neighborhood. They had no idea that there was a struggle with this family. What should people be looking for, and does this kind of show that domestic violence can happen?
It can absolutely happen anywhere, and you're right. We ran a history check to see on this house were there any indicators, and I believe the only types of calls that we got were medical in nature. So, mom fell down and we need help getting her back up, which is a pretty common EMS type call, and that's really all we saw. But nothing that would indicate that there was a history of domestic violence. There were not getting indicators that there was any history. It just, by all indications, at this point, she snapped. And again, we would certainly ask anybody. We would have much rather this phone call came before something bad happened. We wish that she had reached out to someone. But again, call us if you need help, and even if you feel like it doesn't fit squarely in that law enforcement box, call us anyway. That's what we're there for. We would rather get called out for something that's maybe not necessarily in our lane than have to get called out for a homicide later. So please, that's what law enforcement is there for. Once again, our non-emergency number is 210-335-6000. Okay.
Sheriff, on a different case, do you mind answering a question or two?
Not at all.
The connection to one of the shootings to the JBSA shooting, how did you guys get the connection?
So we had handled a accidental shooting right around that same time, and some of the evidence matched up. Now, I know that we're working with the SAPD on that shooting. I can't comment too much on their part of it, but some of the evidence from our accidental shooting matched up, and so obviously we did the research and some of the names matched up. And so, I'm glad that we were able to, help the PD in this instance, and the three agencies working together really seemed to have gotten it done. And I know they'll be giving more updates soon. Okay. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.